Veritable for sustaining international trade between and among countries, ports the world over are job creators and sources of foreign direct investment, as well as local revenue spinners for nations, as seen in import and exports. Little wonder the present administration created the Ministry of Blue Economy, with the port being a critical one among the subsectors of the maritime industry. An economically worthwhile port is valuable to its location and the effect rippling in the trade volume within. On this edition of Dateline 360, we explore some of the various ports across Nigeria, their strengths, weaknesses, and how to improve them for the economic benefits of Nigeria. I'm Omotala Omojola. Thanks for joining us. Now we start from Lagos State, where Nigeria has one of its largest ports in the country. Michael Olaleye reports that as a crucial economic enabler, experts say Nigeria can benefit more from trade volumes that ports generate if priority is given to the upgrade of port infrastructure, automation of processes, while taking advantage of its position around landlocked countries to invest in transshipment.
Facing the Atlantic Ocean in a vintage position similar to Liverpool in England is Lagos, and this nature-endowed virtue is the fountain upon which trade and investment thrive, simply because the city is not just close to the Fairway Boil, but houses the two busiest ports in Nigeria. There are more than 10 terminals along the Lagos shore, invariably creating clusters of businesses and employment opportunities for the teeming population.
Typically, the port has the capacity for huge multiplier effects because it is a chain of interconnected operations in the industry. You can imagine a 5% increase in port performance. This can unleash huge impact in the port eco-business. The port cost in Nigerian ports is about 25 to 30% of the cost of goods and services in the market. Any increase in port cost affects the goods in the market. That is because we are developing the economy. So the effect is felt immediately. Look at what happened when dollar cost rise.
In fact, more than 70% of cargoes within the sub-region, whether directly or through transshipment, are Lagos-bound. Little wonder why the metropolitan city is the fifth single largest economy in Africa. Experts say beyond these glittering opportunities are more pressing challenges limiting the economic viability of Nigerian ports.
We don't have transit model in our imports, in our process. So we don't have transit. Where people like Ghana is having a satellite tracking system, we have transit. We have the e-bond. The bond system is electronic bond. Custom is still operating a manual bond. Custom is not having the transit model. Transit that's supposed to contribute almost 1 million jobs. We have lost there because we're supposed to, our countries, they transit to a place like Niger, Chad, Burkina Faso.
For instance, it is on record that the country loses $7 billion annually to inefficiency and poor management at the Nigerian ports, coupled with the fact that Nigeria hardly received 10% of West African imports out of 60% destined for the country.
The way to address these are investment in port infrastructures, implementation of port community system, single window, provision of cargo scanners in the ports, linkage of ports with rail system. I don't think the only port that is really linked to the rail system is Apapa Port, Lagos Port Complex. Every other has no rail system. When the port was the rail building of the rail system was inconclusive. It was not terminated just before the port. Port Harcourt Port, the same thing, it was abandoned. So there must be hinterland connectivity. One of the major benefits of this, apart from fast cargo clearance and delivery to the hinterland, is to reduce the stress on our roads.
Why government is driving initiative that will lead to the rehabilitation of both ports in Apapa and Tinkan Island, regulatory agencies are removing impediments to ease of doing business.
All of us must come together and see how do we remove the number of the time to export, at our port to the sub-Saharan average.
Combining robust policy framework with modern infrastructure while mapping out effective cargo delivery and evacuation strategies, experts say will reposition the nation for global competitiveness. In Lagos, Michael Olaleye for Dateline 360.
From Lagos, we go to Rivers State, where Robinson Derateide reports that in spite of the strategic locations of Port Harcourt and Onne seaports, cargo traffic has been minimal owing to infrastructural decay, among other surmountable challenges. He, however, has good news as his inquisition reveals efforts on the side of the federal government to revamp ports to attract bustling activities.
The Port Harcourt and Onne port in Rivers State are part of the eastern ports. In fact, Port Harcourt port is considered as one of the oldest ports in Nigeria, which serves as export terminal during the colonial regime. Port Harcourt and Onne ports in Rivers State have the capacity of decongesting Lagos ports. This is due to their strategic proximities to the Atlantic Ocean and capacity to feed the Eastern Corridor, but has suffered neglect resulting to decay in infrastructure, particularly the jetties, making it difficult for vessels to berth. This has no doubt limited vessel traffic to the port, thereby reducing economic activities.
This Port Harcourt port is over 100 years now, at least. Being the oldest, it has a maintenance problem. I must tell you this, infrastructure is not adequate for now, but I think improvement on that can be done. And we're looking up to the concessionaires to also do their own bit. There are some improvement in terms of increase in stacking area, which can accommodate more cargo now. The port can accommodate more cargo now. I'm talking about Port Harcourt port. And so also on airport also. The emergence of the new terminal there has created more land value, which they can also have more space for stacking area.
Presently, the major product of export at Port Harcourt port is soya bean meals and sesame seeds, while Onne port's exports deals more on container-based cargo, oil well equipment and project cargo, and sometimes witness a bit of increase in economic activities with occasional berthing of ocean cargoes. The security situation in the creeks and around the ports has been curtailed by the combined efforts of security agencies and communities.
Business we're doing is a dollar-dependent business. Whatever you are importing, the medium of exchange is dollar. That is so acceptable, and that is what we have been using. Perhaps if we can fall down to Nairanization, I mean, to put every basis of payments to be in our own local currency, that will have been a better improvement for our economy. Because you can see, all of a sudden, there were no traffic of vessels. And suddenly, again, because of this little announcement of decrease in the dollar rate, you can see traffic now started coming back again.
If you have to look at the transport part of it, the ease of it, I feel it's easier moving things out from here compared to the other ports, both Tinkan, Onne, when it comes to trucking, because this port here is directly in the city.
A recent visit of the Minister of Marine and Blue Economy to the ports had a few craft commissioned to assist marine men berth vessels.
The traffic, particularly cargo that has been taken to neighboring countries, is because we're here to do a lot of things in terms of infrastructure. We're looking at putting not less than about $1 billion investment to rehabilitate all the ports, to make them more efficient. And by that extension, you can be too sure that the revenue of the federal government will increase.
By commissioning these mooring boats is also to be able to berth and unberth vessels. The Honourable Minister is also working with the Honourable Minister of Works and Housing to ensure that the access route to the ports is also constructed. So everything that is being done in Lagos is also being done in the eastern ports to encourage use of the ports. We have given concessions in terms of rates in some of the ports in the east just to encourage importers and exporters to use it.
Although officials of the Nigerian Ports Authority declined comment, other industry players are of the view that government needs to compel concessionaires to invest more in the ports and divert cargoes, especially with items needed more in the east to Port Harcourt ports, while urging state government to partner the federal government for early actualization of the proposed Bonisi port. For Dateline 360, Robinson Derateide.
Let's now move to Calabar Port, one of the oldest in Nigeria. Although, but yet to actualize its full potential, as Paul Lebel reports that despite its strategic location, the main challenge remains the delay in dredging the port. In this report, he examines the economic viability of the Calabar Port. Its other challenges and how to make it work.
Calabar Port was constructed and commissioned in 1978 as part of measures to address the shortage of port space and cargo handling infrastructure. It occupies 38 hectares of land, 150 meters wide, average depth of about 5 meters chart datum, and situated 55 nautical miles inland from the Atlantic Ocean, while its cargo handling capacity is 1.5 million tons. Its infrastructure design is to accommodate vessels of 8,000 to 15,000 gross registered tonnage and equipped with extra facility of an export processing zone (EPZ) with additional provision of 34 hectares of land for expansion. Originally, Calabar Port should have been an investor's haven due to its strategic location as a feasible gateway for South-South, Southeast, Northeast markets in Nigeria and the Gulf of Guinea. But ships drawing heavier draughts of 7 meters and above may not berth at the Calabar Port.
We should be able to serve Nigeria and be able to decongest the already congested Apapa and Thika ports. It can't serve the entire region of the Gulf of Guinea and beyond. And if you look at the Calabar Port is located within an agricultural produce belt in Nigeria.
We think that from here, a lot of exports can go into the Central, South Africa.
The non-dredging of the Calabar Port has posed a perennial problem.
I think the port manager is doing something about it, and the state government also is also interested to see how they can, make the port viable by, reaching out to the federal government to make sure that the port is dredged and, also coordinating, with the global communities to make sure that we have traffic in the port.
In 2022, statistics by NTA shows that between January and May, 645 million naira was generated and 72 vessels were received. In December 2023, Calabar Port also came alive as a Chinese cargo ship berthed Akwa Ibom refinery project consignment. The full potentials of success, stakeholders say, are being hampered by challenges such as dispute resulting in the non-dredging of the port, collapsed berth at the shoreline jetty, siltation and reduced drought of ECM terminal front, defaced surfaces and duplicated facilities with the port administration building.
For a company to single-handedly bring a vessel, hire a vessel, and then pay all ancillary costs, including security costs, all other logistic costs that government should have taken care of, there's no way that will be profitable. He has to provide security along the belt, bring in pre-shipment inspection agents. There is no way to be sustainable.
We know that cargoes come to the port at the owner's choice, at the owner of cargo choice. We need to work on that. That is not the issue.
The government at the state level, at the federal level, and all the agencies, NPA, NIMASA, Shippers Council, Nigerian Export, they should come together and work, and the customs should actually facilitate trade, and they should not be tax collectors.
With an agreement with the government of Equatorial Guinea, we can have a transshipment hub in Malabo that you can then stem cargo Malabo/Calabar, and it goes into that terminal, and then we pick from there and bring to Calabar Port. So Calabar Port then becomes indirectly on the list of destination ports.
Experts say Calabar Port potentially holds the ace as the existing Nigeria feeder port of the future to take over stay cargoes, transshipment and refined petroleum cargoes from Lagos port system, as well as prime option for the relocation of badly sited oil tank farms away from the overstretched Lagos port lands. It is hoped that if the measures highlighted are addressed, it will help to boost the potentials of the Calabar Port. From the Calabar Port, I am Paul Abel, reporting for Dateline 360.
Barrow Inland Port in Agaye local government area of Niger State used to be the strategic hub for trading and commerce during the colonial era, even post-colonial era, until it took a downturn. The federal government of Nigeria's effort to resuscitate the port by dredging it and the construction of a modern port are yet to yield the desired result. Dauda Mohammed examines issues surrounding the Barrow Inland Port for Dateline 360.
Barrow Inland Port, strategically located on River Niger in Agaye local government area of Niger State, is regarded as the first office of Lord Alfred Lugard. Recognizing its importance in reducing pressure on the nation's highways, the federal government awarded contract for the dredging of River Niger from Lokoja up to Barrow and the construction of a modern state-of-the-art inland port, which was completed and inaugurated for use by former President Muhammadu Buhari in 2019. 6 years after the euphoria of the inauguration, the port and waterways are still unutilized.
We feel so sad on that issue because since then, sometimes even small canoes that we used to use for traveling, sometimes if they are going, they will now just go and crash or maybe clamp into the sand.
Whatever someone is telling you about Barrow Port, you will not believe it until you are there yourself. And that is why we feel this kind of emotion.
When Mr. President commissioned it, we came to believe that the past glories of Barrow is coming back or is back. But to our surprise, we were still waiting to see Barrow Port becoming functional.
Contract for the access routes under Sukuk bond were awarded some years ago. Presently, all works have stopped. The present road being used is not for the faint-hearted, while old railway tracks have also been vandalized.
The most critical challenges we're having is the access road.
Nambata passing through Lapai Agaye Bida up to Lagos. Do Agaye Kacha Barrow Road and do Gulu Barrow and let it bust out at Gegu to connect Abuja Lokoja Express Road. If you do that, you have opened not only Niger State but the whole of North Central.
Another potential for Barrow is the tourism sector, with relics of the colonial era in abundance in the area.
This building used to be a store for the Niger Company, a subsidiary of the United African Company, one of the numerous business concerns between the United Kingdom and Nigeria. This is now a relic from the past, one of the numerous tourism potentials that abound around Barrow Port.
With the present state government's agenda of developing the agricultural sector, the viability of Barrow Inland Port is in line with the vision of the governor. While efforts to speak with the federal controller works and the Niger State Ministry of Transportation through the commissioner were unsuccessful, stakeholders say the situation can still be salvaged.
Bringing goods from Lagos, Port Harcourt, Warri, Suba, it will actually free our trunk A route from dilapidating.
The federal government has spent a lot of money already there. I wouldn't know what the figure now, but I think it's a lot of money already spent. So I want to believe we have come to a point that there will be no going back on the part of the federal government. Let's find a way of developing the port. The port will be of great benefit to the country. not only to my domain.
Barrow is often referred to by most commentators as a sleeping giant that has the potential of not just changing the fortunes of Barrow, Agay, and Niger State, but the whole northern region in particular. When this sleeping giant will wake up, it's only time can tell. For Dateline 360, I am Dauda Muhammad.
From Barrow, we move to Kaduna, the trailblazer of dry port in Nigeria. How well is the inland dry port doing and serving the import and export needs of northern Nigeria? Achari Maxwell reports that effective synergy among stakeholders and sensitization on the services of the inland dry port has become necessary for the port to actualize its potential and deliver on its mandate.
With the sole aim of decongesting the Apapa seaport, the dry port charted a course and pioneered the journey for other dry ports to come up in Kano, Katsina, Oyo, and other states of the Federation. 6 years down the line, Kaduna Inland Dry Port is operating maximally as about 250 containers are being discharged monthly.
We are having exports, both ginger and Lexus, and so, but we are already have that, we have emphasized that this year will be a plus with the facility that we have, that they can test, they can inspect, and the pre-inspection agents are here, they are approved by the federal government. We have pre-inspection agents, we have federal produce, NAFDAC, all the agencies are here.
The National President, Ginger Farmers Association of Nigeria, uses the dry ports for exports of their products with ease.
Good, because as it is right now, once the container has been inspected, we ship from our warehouses to Kaduna Dry Port. Once it has been inspected, within a day, maximum 2 days, it proceeds to Lagos. The container proceeds to Lagos. Now, the thing is that you have to pick the containers from one of the containers that is here, that the importers have brought.
Kaduna Inland Dry Port is of great economic value as agricultural products and other solid minerals are exported outside the shores of Nigeria.
It will make it very easy to move goods, agricultural commodity, livestock, and my own areas, mainly solid minerals, to move them from Kaduna down to the south, either Port Harcourt or Lagos Port, and for export.
Aside its economic potential, job opportunities abound at the port as these truck drivers earn their means of livelihood here.
That's what I've been doing to pay my rent in Lagos because that's where I based.
Kaduna Inland Dry Port is functional but not without challenges.
Foreign exchange is so difficult, and the exchange rate, naira to dollar, too, is part of the obstacles. And at the moment now, that you cannot even see exactly the exchange rate is not stable. So a lot of importers, they are still studying the situation of the country.
A lot of people that are talking about but they are surprised that in Kaduna, they are surprised that there's a functional dry port. A lot of people do not know. So there's a need for publicity, additional publicity, because there are other exporters that are involved in Nigeria who will not mind to ship from Bauchi, ship from Gombe, ship from all the other northern parts of the country to Lagos, if they knew about the effectiveness of these dry ports.
All that is needed for optimal performance of the dry port to sustain and improve its operations is provided by the federal government for it to achieve the $1 trillion economic target of the federal government by the year 2027. Now, what stakeholders are advocating for is that the federal government should make it compulsory for shipping companies to consider Kaduna Inland Dry Port as their final destination so that it can create more job opportunities and improve business activities. From the Kaduna Inland Dry Port, Achari Maxwell, Deadline 360.
And that report concludes this edition of Dateline 360. We hope that concerned authorities will act to improve both sea, inland and dry ports of Nigeria to the benefit of the country. I'm Omotola Omojala, and on behalf of the production crew, I thank you for the pleasure of your company. God bless Nigeria.